Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant. We're excited to be back with you today. I don't know why I did that. Maybe because it's Super Bowl Sunday,
yeah, but people who aren't watching on YouTube have no idea what we're talking about.
They could feel the enthusiasm in my voice.
He's fist bumping for those of you.
I don't know what I did.
No, not fist bumping.
No, I just. I don't know what I did. But maybe it makes you go, oh, maybe we should move over to the YouTube channel and check things out.
Am I allowed to say go Eagles?
I don't care what you say. We have a lot of listeners in Pennsylvania. Well, we have a lot of Kansas City people, too. And we coach Kansas City fans. And
we do.
Man.
We're sorry.
Okay, so...
maybe we should just not go into that subject. Just saying I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. Okay, the end.
Okay, let me tell everybody real quick that we have a great topic today that we've never discussed before.
Like, not on the podcast. We've never discussed it, me and you.
Yeah, we don't think. Maybe in a roundabout sort of way. But the reason why I'm telling you, I'm like, don't go away. We've got to talk about a couple of things real quick.
But don't go away.
Yeah, don't go away. If you're just here for the topic, we don't really care. We just want you to get something out of this. So we do care. But what I'm saying is, you can fast forward through this part if you don't want to hear it. But I want you to hear this too. This has been an amazing day. Mm-hmm. So letting you guys in on our world a little bit. And also, please follow us on YouTube, social media, and stuff. Because, okay, back up. Let's back up. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. All right. So the reason why we know there's going to be new people is because today was a pretty incredible day. Our church, our home church, Pine Lake Church, it's a multi-site church in Mississippi.
Yep.
And I love how you always look over and think something's wrong with our podcast.
The computer went black.
Okay, so it's a multi-site church in Mississippi and a really big church. And we have campuses, 5 different locations. We go to the Clinton campus, but our church in general, all 5 campuses, they did a video story on us today. Mm-hmm. And just a massive shout out to Pine Lake Church and the communications team, the video team. I mean, holy cow. They came to our house last week and a half or so ago, and actually came up here to our podcast studio and where we do our marriage coaching, and they shot a video, and like what they shared with the church today was unbelievable. Not because of our story, just the way that they put it together.
Yeah.
So
because we recorded like 30 minutes worth of questions that they asked us, and we had no idea. Of course, they didn't show a 30-minute video, so we had no idea what they were going to pull, how they were going to put it together, what pictures they were going to use, and it was phenomenal.
It pointed people to Jesus.
Straight to Jesus.
And that's all we wanted.
That's
right. We did not want the focus to be on our story. And of course there was obviously a lead in with that, sure. But man, it just was everything that we would have hoped that
never could have done ourselves.
Exactly.
They did a great job.
So here's the thing. If you want to watch the whole thing, I would encourage you. So Pine Lake Church in Mississippi, go there. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. You can watch it. We'll probably show some video, some of our stuff and things like that throughout the week. But then, oh my goodness. So our pastor is Chip Henderson. We absolutely love Chip. Chip wasn't preaching today, and our resident church planter, who is from Nigeria, who has the most incredible voice, when he actually said Rusty and Heather. Oh,
please call me that forever.
Yeah, I mean, but wow, he is so gifted and anointed. And when he followed up, because they showed our video, and then he started talking, he got so incredibly fired up, especially in both services, but the 11 o'clock in particular. And he began to pray for restoration of marriages, and then specifically praying for the marriages that we are praying
that
for.
Are on our list.
And we even had somebody reach out to us and say, I feel like your entire church just prayed for me.
Yep.
And they did because he led them to pray. And I don't know, it was just such an incredible day and so affirming. And just like, I want you guys to know that are listening, if you're one of the 300 people now, I mean, there's 300 people on our prayer list for February. If you're one of those, our church literally prayed for you today.
And of course, we didn't
nobody
share
knows
names or
we are
anything
the
like
only
that. That's right.
we are the only people that know
But they
names
just
and prayer
prayed
requests.
for the names that had reached out to us. They prayed for
just prayed for those 200. They
That's
said
right.
200 because
That's
at the
right.
time, that's what when they
When the video,
recorded
yep.
this, it was 200 names.
Yep.
And so, of course,
And
like
I
you said,
just literally wept because I was like, he felt so led and so led by the Spirit to just stop his sermon, delay his starting of his sermon, and just pray for marriages in general, and specifically for the people who had reached out to us.
Yep.
And so and he is so anointed and so gifted that I was just like, what a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
What a blessing. It was an incredible, incredible day.
He was just praying for healing, restoration, redemption. I mean,
forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Just, oh my
so
goodness.
good.
So all of you've been prayed for.
That's right. And if you want to watch it, go to YouTube and do Pine Lake Church, and it's the 11 o'clock service.
I would encourage you. I mean,
what's this day?
Oh, yeah, the date. Sorry.
The
This
9th?
is February the 9th of 2024. Because
No.
no, it's 2025. It is 2025. Because I know that so many of you, I mean, you'll find us maybe 10 years from now.
That's right.
Who knows?
Go back and listen to it.
So anyway, that's that story, and we are praying, and it's been an incredible 9 days already.
Yeah,
and we've prayed for 90 couples at this point because there's 10 a day now. The back end of February has more than 10 because we've opened it back up, and so. I just want to encourage you, if you are new to the Redeemed Marriage, don't know anything about it, go check us out on our website, theredeemedmarriage.com, and would love to see you there. It is so funny because you probably don't even know this, Heather, but I look at our downloads and stuff and just see, how many people are listening and things like that from time to time. Do you want to take a guess of what the percentage, we'll just say this month, the percentage of people from the state of Mississippi that download our podcast? We live in Mississippi, for those of you who don't know.
Okay. So out of all the listeners, what percentage are from Mississippi?
Just in the month of February. So the downloads that have happened in February, how many do you think are from Mississippi?
25%.
11.
11?
Yeah, and so the thing that I think is so incredible about that is because when somebody starts a podcast, they're like, oh, our family and our friends are going to listen to this, and that's it. Maybe people in Mississippi don't like us. I don't know what it is. But I genuinely hope that number goes way up this week because people from, our church now have this resource. And so anyway, I'm excited. It's crazy because for this month, Texas was number one. You would never in a million years, the state of Washington. You can't get any further away from Mississippi. The state of Washington, way up there by where Luke used to live in Oregon.
Oh, that way.
Yeah, that way.
Not Washington, D.C.
That was number 2 on our downloads for the month of February so far. So pretty
That's
cool.
Awesome.
But I love how God just like, hey, let's reach the masses. And we've been praying for that. And we have so many couples we're praying for and with literally from across the globe, not just right here.
I think that we're both so excited that we're talking a little faster, and we have people that have told us they can listen to us on 2. No way that's happening today, or 2 times or whatever.
We are really excited. We're about to bring it down quite a bit. Wah, wah, wah.
Yes, that's right.
we are. We started talking a couple of weeks ago, and we did kind of think about, hey, we'll have some new listeners, And you guys know, if you've listened to us for very long, Heather, she's along for the ride. And it's so great. that she's along for the ride because she just brings the punch. Not the punch as in drinking some punch. She packs the punch, and gives all the good information. But all the good information comes from when I just say, "Hey, this is what we're going to talk about today." And so, I started thinking about what if we just have a lot of new listeners, and what are they going to want to know about our story? And I would say, go back and listen. We have almost 200 episodes. But I try to think of something that I don't know that we've ever talked about, but would also just be like something that people probably are wondering, because our story, it's a redemption story.
Yeah.
And so people now, see all the great things and how it all, that was the testimony today. They saw all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So the question I'm throwing out today is, because I know people wonder, did we ever consider divorce? The D word. All right, so I'm gonna kick us off like this. We were one of those couples, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. We were one of those couples that, we kind of grew up in that church era of, and it's still very important today.
Yeah.
But don't ever use the D word. Don't ever say divorce. So when you get in an argument or whatever, that's just that's how we grew up. Like, we learned, don't joke around and say, well, you do this, I'm just going to divorce you. Well, if you don't love me anymore, just go file for divorce, that kind of thing. Is that true? Do you remember? Why are you laughing?
Continue.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do you ever remember... do you even remember a time of us joking about it?
No, because we did. We took that very seriously because that's what we were taught. And I still think it is a great thing to do in marriage. Just don't joke about it, and don't, say anything about, if you do this, we're going to do this for sure.
You're just moving around. You're swinging around. I don't know. It's been a fun day. And we're also about to have our very own personal Super Bowl party, which we're really excited about because we love sports. And so we're watching it together. Okay. So back to the whole divorce thing. Also, I do think we've talked about this a little bit, but do you feel like at any point during marriage, let's say 15 years was when the confession happened, when you confessed to being unfaithful. And when that happened, any time before that, was there ever a time that we talked and said, hey, if you ever do this, or if this ever happens, or if something like this happens, I no way I'm staying around. Did we talk about that?
Yeah. And it was exactly what happened. Like, I can remember a couple in our old church that something was exposed and there was infidelity. And I remember thinking and saying, if you ever did that to me, I'd be gone. It just wouldn't be an option. And not only that, but people say that to us. Like, they'll say, oh, no, I don't see how y'all did what you did and fought for it, because if that happened to us, I'd be gone.
Do you think that we said that almost as a threat to each other? And maybe not even almost as a threat, but like, we knew it was never going to happen. But just in case you ever have that thought, I just want you to know, if you ever had that thought and you slipped up, I'm out of here.
Right. As a threat, and as a, hey, for real, you better not do this. And then also just really deep down thinking it would never happen.
Oh, yeah. Like, and that's a massive part of our story.
Yes. And it absolutely is. And it's a big part of our story, because I 100% know that by me saying, and you saying, specifically me, I would never do that, it just gave the enemy a target. It was like, oh yeah, like, watch this. And that also, which we have talked about so many times, but that was an element of control that I thought that I had, that I obviously did not. Like, I can control this. I could always control the temptation. I could always control my thoughts, is what I thought, that I just had complete control over that. So even when those little bitty slips started happening, I still never felt like I was out of control. And so, therefore, I never dreamed it would happen. And so, divorce would never need to be discussed.
So people that know about our story, listen to our podcast, they do know a lot of the details because we tell, parts of our story are detailed because we want people to understand that somebody else knows how they feel.
Not only do we know how you feel, but also what I think is even more important is for you to be alert to those things and have red flags like, oh, that's not normal. Or, the things that we're saying don't do or be aware of or be purposeful in or draw boundaries around. All of those things are so important because I didn't realize I was crossing any boundaries. I didn't realize I was stepping into a slippery slope. I didn't realize nobody spoke that into me. And so even being made aware of things before they happen is such a huge part of my desire. Because if we can reach couples before those things happen, then it's like, I remember Heather and Rusty talking about this, and this is a no.
Yeah.
But then for people who have already begun this journey, being like, just like you said, thinking, I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone in these feelings. I'm not alone in what I've done. I'm not alone in the things I've said. But that there, did you like that? But that there is hope for redemption out of those things.
Well, and I don't want people to take these, the details of our story, the things that we've shared, and then think, okay, there's the story, and then there's the redemption. And yes, people know about our journey and our healing and things like that. But there's also this, I just think there's this area that, like we said, have never been talked about. When you confessed, like, people might think it was just, all right, roll up our sleeves and here we go. And I'm not so sure it was just like that. And so I want us to, for just a few minutes, because we have talked a lot already. I want us to, for a few minutes, just think back and think, was divorce ever something that either one of us ever really considered individually or collectively? And again, this is our story, but I think that some of these feelings might help people to be like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not, other people have feelings like this, and look at where they are. So I'm going to ask you. You're not. Did you cuss?
No, I said crap. I said the C word.
Okay, so I think that people that don't understand, so those of us that have never committed adultery, when we think about that happening to somebody else, and we think about somebody doing that, there's this thought of, okay, well, there was this unhappiness or whatever, something unfulfilled in their marriage. They go find it somewhere else. And there must be this thought or this plan for, okay, how am I going to get out of that relationship to start a new relationship here? And for those of us that are on this other side, we have to think, well, there has to be this end goal. And if there's this end goal, that end goal would be, I'm going to divorce my spouse so that I can be with this person because I've literally risked everything to be with this person. So can you put some words to that and how you felt there and if that's a reality or not?
Yeah. Okay. So
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm really super mad right now. No, you did. I mean, you asked if we could talk about this subject. And for the first time, I think I hesitated because it's hard. It's hard to admit where my heart was when I see how far God and I have come. But I think it's important to say where my heart was. And I also hate saying where my heart was because I know it hurts. I know it hurts you. And so that's hard for me to do. But I'm willing to do that because I hope that there's somebody out there that can hear and go, yes, that's where I am. And know that there's hope to come out of it. So I think that for me, when everything was exposed, when I got caught, my first thought was he's going to leave. Like, I never dreamed that you would stay because we knew we had said that. We had said that if this ever happens, I'm leaving. And so, there was the first night, there was no, oh, I'm going to stay and let's fight for our marriage. Like, you left the house and when you left, I was like, oh my gosh, like, he's going to divorce me. That's what's coming. And so of course I thought about divorce and I thought about what that was going to look like. I thought about how, all of this was running through my mind. Like, would I then try to be with with my affair partner? How would that look messing up two families? It was these round and round thoughts. So yes, divorce did come into my mind, but honestly, it wasn't so much from my perspective as it was from he's definitely going to leave me. And so it was kind of a defensive thing. Well, if he's going to leave me, then this is what I'll do. Because I couldn't imagine being alone, and also you have to remember, for those of you who have not heard our story, it was about a week before I was broken into godly sorrow. And so at this point, I wasn't thinking in a God-honoring way. It was just, how am I gonna save myself, you know? Yeah. And so I even talked with my mentor and about it. And I can remember her saying, all right, Heather, let's do this. Let's play the then what game. Okay. So let's say that you get divorced and you decide to go away with this other man. And let's say he gets divorced and y'all go away together. Then what? And that's when she started. She didn't just say then what and then pause and let me just think about it. Like, she made me voice things. Okay, then what? Well, I guess I'd marry this other person. Okay, then what? Okay, you would move? You would, what about the kids? Then what? And she made me go down this path until tears were just streaming down my face. And I was like, this is not what I want. Like, divorce is not what I want. But I think sometimes we think, and what I did in that moment is I thought divorce would be an easier path than what we were fixing to have to face. And so I was like, okay, well, he's definitely going to divorce me. So let's go down this path, until I realized that I was on that path too. What I mean by that is, it wasn't just a new path where I could start over. I was the problem. My heart was the problem. So me and my diseased heart would just take that into another marriage. Right. And I'm still the problem. And so I think that walking with Penny, my mentor, through that and really putting words to it and really having somebody speak truth into me, after a couple of days, I was like, okay, I need to let go of this divorce thought and really fight for my marriage and try to figure out if you're willing to fight for our marriage.
Okay, that's a great answer. And I think that I can understand this is a defense. Like, thinking through divorce is a defense mechanism almost for knowing and thinking and believing that you're going to leave me. Leading up to that, though, in the middle of all the lies and the sneaking around and all of that kind of stuff, was there this, I want a divorce, like, I want to get a divorce.
For this better something?
For a better life, a different life, or whatever.
Okay. Again, I know this goes without saying, but this is our story.
Sure.
And yours may be different.
Absolutely, yes.
But honestly, I never did.
Okay.
I just kept thinking, it's so weird, Rusty, to try to explain. Like, I get all sweaty and heart racing feeling when I try to explain, because I so desperately want for people to understand, but it's so hard for even me to put words to. But it's like I was living on a train track. And this side of the rail was never going to to join this side of the rail or crash.
Yeah.
It was this life, and this was happening while I was having an affair. And I didn't even really think about this life. And then I would jump back over and really not think about that life and think about this one. And so I never really thought what would happen if these two intersected. And so divorce really never came into my brain because I never thought the two would meet.
That's a good way of explaining it. Okay, that's awesome. All right, thanks for. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, no, I want to know your side, Mr. Bud.
Oh yeah, I signed papers. No, I'm just kidding.
William. Okay, so what I want to ask you? This never happens.
All right, come on.
I want to ask you: did you ever consider divorcing me after confession? I don't think that you did before confession.
No.
Okay. So did you during confession or after confession, did you think this is too much, I'm gone?
Yeah. Well, so I think that but people know our story, know that it was completely out of the blue. I had no idea. I do think that there are people that have similar stories that some people just know that something else is going on. Or maybe they even, can say, hang on, I'm going to make sure real quick. Okay, we're good. I think that people can, they can look at their situation and go, okay, I can see how this could have been happening. That was not our story. So I had no idea. And I've said this before, but there was no script. Like I think that some people, if they kind of suspect something, or maybe their marriage is just really, really bad. And so maybe they even kind of play a discussion or a conversation over in their mind of what am I going to say when my spouse breaks this news to me? But I never had obviously any reason for that. So when you confessed, it was just this massive bombshell. And the shock of it was, I don't know what to do. And so, I left the house, just like you said, and I went to somebody's house that I knew that I could trust. We've told this part of our story before in some of our podcasts, but I was actually thinking about you because even in the midst of the pain, it was somebody that didn't really know us very well, didn't know our families, wasn't a part of our church, but it was somebody that I had a relationship with over, several months at least, and it was also a lawyer. And I don't think that was my initial reason for going there, but when I got there and I was like, I just need somebody to tell, and I don't know who else to tell this to, and I started getting legal advice, which I'm very appreciative of, because at that point, there's no chance I'm thinking about anything like that.
Sure.
And he's telling me things like, hey, you don't know what she's going to do. And that's kind of where I was. Like, we had not had a conversation long enough to where I didn't know what was the plan? Like, are you leaving our family? Like, right. I didn't know that.
Sure.
And so I sort of took the same step you did in this defense mechanism of going, okay, well, I'm going to be prepared.
Right.
And not only am I going to be prepared if you leave, that was kind of my thought was, oh, well, she's leaving. Like, why else would you commit adultery unless you're going to leave with the other person?
Right.
And so that was my understanding of it. And so I thought, well, she's leaving, so I've got to start thinking through divorce. And that's when I started thinking through stuff like, okay, how do I make sure that I'm in the best position to where I get the kids? I'm like, because I was like, I'm taking you down for everything at this point. That's how mad and angry I was. And so I got this advice and this legal advice. And so, yes, originally it was this, all right, what am I going to do? And of course, then my mind even starts going to, oh, I'll find somebody else better. I'm going to find somebody else better, and we'll just make a life that's better than this, that kind of thing. And I do remember, that night coming back home and having that moment with God where I do believe that God said, hey, let's see what, let's see if we can work this thing out. And that's when I started searching for the marriage intensive that I didn't even know about, all that kind of stuff. And so that night, I do believe, I was like, okay, I don't know where she is in this, but if she's willing to fight for it, I don't think this thing has to head towards divorce. But then you guys also know, I keep saying, you guys know. If you don't know, go back. There's 200 episodes. You can find out all about us. But I keep thinking about those next 3 days that I didn't know the whole story. And we were in this, okay, let's go to counseling. We started counseling. We actually went to our first counseling session. And we told your parents, we told my parents, those kind of things. And we're like, okay. But then more of the story came out, and there were more pieces that just made it extremely complicated and much more difficult and very public. And when that happened, then it really hit me. Like, I don't know that we're going to survive this. And so I really, at that point, I still think I was in such I've got to protect my kids. I was worried about you. That's why I sent you to your parents' house. I was very worried about you. Everything was public. And so because of the whirlwind nature of it, I don't think it was one of those things where it was like, all right, I gotta start drawing up some papers and divorce this person. It was just, I got to survive each minute, one day at a time. And the beauty of that was in the midst of the chaos was when you had your real encounter with God, which was about 10 days after the initial confession. And, I think up until that point, divorce was probably something that I might have even thought, hey, once the tornado clears out of here, it's probably inevitable. Even though I had heard God say, hey, I'm giving you permission to leave, but I'm asking you to stay. And I had heard that early on, but then it kept looking more and more doom and gloom.
Yeah.
But then you had this encounter, and honestly, I don't think I never thought about it again.
Same.
Never entertained it. And because that was the moment that I know you changed or you begin to change. And it was like God had already prepped me from, 10 days before, had already said, hey, like almost like there's going to be more shrapnel from this, but I'm just asking you, trust me. And by the time we got to that Wednesday when everything went down, then I was like, okay, I'm all in. Whatever it takes, we're gonna make it. Yeah. So yes, there were moments. So I don't want people to go, oh man, we're having some really hard times, and we've thought about divorce, so we're never gonna make it. Yeah. No, it's not that. I mean, and honestly, man, that's just those are the stories that God's like, just watch.
That's right.
Just watch me. And so if you're there, that's what I want you to hear from this. We told some really, really personal things and some things that I don't know that we've ever really even shared out loud with each other, but none of it, I don't think anything was a surprise. No. You didn't surprise me, and I didn't surprise you, because we've talked about so much of this with so many people. But I just think that the message is, there is never a place that you are too far gone from where God just says, oh, that's too much for me.
Yep.
And Amen. Because we would be at a place that every single person, I believe, in the world would look at it just from a surface level, and just look at it and say, oh yeah, that's too much. You're not coming back from that one.
Yep.
And we did. And not just come back, but an incredible marriage. And a marriage that's so good. Like, how is it that we can literally talk about this?
Well, that's 100% God's grace.
Yeah. But I mean, we can talk about this And what's about, like, yes, it brings up some emotions and some feelings, and I know it does for you, and there's some shame and there's some guilt that still pops up.
But there's just thankfulness.
Oh, yeah. And this day has been amazing, and this is not ruining this day, because what's about to happen is we're going to turn off this podcast, and I know you're already preparing to go for a walk with the dog because you have almost an hour before the Super Bowl kicks off. And then the Super Bowl is going to start, and we're watching the Super Bowl together, and we're going to have a blast, and the Eagles are going to win. And
when people are listening to this, they know whether the Eagles won or not.
They don't even start listening until tomorrow.
That's
but
right.
what I'm saying is there's nothing that has happened that's going to take away from the joy.
That's right.
And like our joy is, we're just living life, and that's what we're about to do.
Yep.
So, all right. Hey, guys, check out our website, theredeemedmarriage.com. There's lots of resources there for you. You can see all of the podcasts there. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch us, see our smiling and funny faces. And then if you're interested in retreats, and here's a big one. We just put up our marriage intensive information.
Yes.
If you think you need a marriage intensive, 2 days, it's just us and you. And we've got 3 locations that you could do that. Please go to our brand new spot on our website. It's easy to find. Check it out. Send us a note that says you're interested, and we'll get you more information. We would love to do an intensive with you. An intensive is what changed, big part of changing our marriage.
Absolutely.
So, all right. That's all.
And if you're new from Pine Lake, we love you guys, and we are so thankful that you're here, and we're so glad you're a part of our church family.
Yes. And if you see us around, come on, give us a big hug. Tell us how we can continue to pray for you and encourage you. We would love to do that. All right. So until next time, peace.